to a basketball game at Southwest High to meet the cheerleaders. He was going with one of them, so we got some phone numbers. We went out and got in the car, and Docalion, another group from Southwest, jumped us, and we said, no more of this shit. So Titans became Titans.
Yeah.
Wow.
As a result of that.
Yeah,
That was the stimulus.
Now, you guys were
Initial
already in some service clubs, is that true?
Key Club.
Yeah.
Key Club, but the guys from Southwest jumped you,
Yes.
and you said,
We said no more of
we're
that.
going to pay back. And so,
Outnumbered us, yeah.
and as a result, you started to organize. And how many guys did you round up to join
I
Titans?
guess close to 30
Yeah, at least
initially.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And how long did that take?
Well, this is at the end of '62 basketball season. It's just started, and we graduated in '63, so it was up and running for Bruno to take over when we graduated.
And when you handed it off to Bruno, was it organized where
It
you
went
had
to shit.
Well,
No,
no,
Bruno, you can speak to that.
Yeah.
But did they hand off like some books, like okay, this is the charter,
We were-
this is the officers,
Yeah,
this is how
I had
you.
a charter. I was taking Latin, so I came up with the name Titans. One of the gods, John Hallwood, drew up the pin, designed the pin.
And he's wearing a pin.
Yeah, he's wearing
Oh,
one.
my
I gave mine to
Yeah.
the sweetheart, my sweetheart.
Oh my gosh, it's the real thing.
That's the real one.
That's priceless.
And my ex stole mine.
Well, most everybody's lost their pins by now. But now there was another club out there in Miami High Saxons that had been around for a number of years.
Yeah.
How do you suppose these clubs even started to evolve? Where did they come from?
Well, it came from people. A lot of them are people who didn't want to be in service clubs,
Okay.
or didn't have the grades to be in service clubs, or they were loners, or they were just rebels.
Because it was a
Bikers?
non-recognized, Titans and Saxons were non-recognized.
No, they were illegal.
Yeah, you weren't
Yeah.
allowed to wear those pins.
Illegal,
You weren't-
oh,
you
yeah.
shouldn't, yeah.
You know that in '69 we were sponsored by the Lions Club, and we were actually allowed to walk around school with
Really?
our shirts and our pins, and it was the first time.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
You were better bullshitters than we were. We couldn't get.
You guys were better politicians than
Well,
that.
it took some doing, but
Well, Vance and Hallwood got it started really well, and then when I took over basically at the end of the '63 year, we just wanted a party, open houses.
Yeah, we'd already had a pledge class, first pledge class.
And
That's
the
nice.
pledging thing was of moderate interest. People cared more about a party. We wanted to have a cake party enough where we could buy a cake, have people come. If we could have it like somebody's father or somebody, we'd have it at a VFW.
Well, let me add to that one, and if I'm making a mistake,
No.
correct me on that.
Go
But
ahead.
I was the first pledge class. Vance, you guys started it. Vance's brother Roy was my best friend for the whole time in high school. So you recruited us to come in as the first pledge class. What I remember for the parties though, is we used to go out to out Key Biscayne to the lighthouse before it was a state park.
Yeah.
And somebody always looked a little older and could buy the Bush beer on it. And then sometimes we'd go with Colt 45, if I remember, on it. And sometimes somebody had a boat and we'd somehow get over to that island where Grove Isle is now, but it was called Beer Can Island in those days.
well,
Now
Fair Island, I thought it was.
maybe it's Fair, maybe that's
Fair
it.
Island.
Fair Island, yeah, that's it. Didn't we call it Beer Can? I don't remember.
Well,
After you guys
almost-
got through with it.
Almost every island in Biscayne Bay was
Yeah.
called Biscayne Island
That
after
was-
a while.
yeah, that was it. So that's what I remember the weekends was,
Yeah. Well, before it became a state park, that's where we had our Hell Night or Pledge Night, and we had camping trips and fishing
Yeah.
trips there.
Did you guys immediately have Hell Nights for the first pledge class? Was that part of the deal?
Yeah, but it wasn't.
It was low key.
Yeah, it was not as. It was more lovers than fighters.
More civilized.
Sigma knew you had to fight your way out of a 10-foot pit with 20 other guys. That's a different kind of hell night.
No, we didn't.
You
paddle or bitch
You
or-
didn't torture people like they
No.
eventually
No.
did with paddles.
Lovers, not fighters.
We
No,
need
no,
paddle.
no paddling.
We were,
No.
oh yeah, there's paddling.
Yeah, I still have my original
We
paddle.
made paddles, and the pledge gave their paddle to their big brother, but most of the time, I don't remember ever paddling anybody.
My
I
brother
never
got
either.
paddled at a meeting.
Well,
Oh yeah, the sergeant of
somebody
arms.
else.
The sergeant of arms.
Yeah.
If you got out of line.
Who later in '65 was, or '64 was George Hopgood, the big guy.
Oh, I remember him.
Yeah.
Count on the football players.
Yeah.
And he just scared them. He didn't have
He
to
was
paddle.
big.
Why? You had some of the ball players, some of the football players on the team,
Oh,
in
yeah.
the
Yeah.
club.
Yeah.
There was another George. He was Colombian. Who was?
Henry Hurtado.
Henry-
Oh no, Henry Hurtado had. Didn't he have the bad ear?
Well, he had a lot of bad things.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Because, the big thing about Henry, sitting at Hot Shots one night, he tell us he's in love with some girl, and we all tell him how we all screwed her the week before.
Well, that can't go on with the girls listed.
Yeah. So much for that. You might have to edit something.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna satisfy a lot of curiosity with this.
And what was really nice, it wasn't, now that I reflect on it, it's not that we took anybody, we took good people, but they were really diverse.
Yeah, very, yeah.
It wasn't like just Ivy League guys, that's for sure. We had, well, Hank was a hunter, fisherman or something way back then, and
You know, my evening on the weekends, on Friday night, I would go to Vance's house or Roy Carl's house, with the same house, and we'd get in the car and we'd go to the one on 27th Avenue, that chicken place just south of Coral Way there. Wasn't much of anything. That's where we would meet. And then from there we drive around the corner to Paley's Big Wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bernie Paley became my uncle-in-law later on. And remember
that's
Corky's restaurant?
okay.
That was my other uncle-in-law
Okay.
later on. And that's where we would meet. And there used to be a guy there that had I can't remember his name, he might have been a Saxon. He had a 58 Ford, all tricked out candy apple red on it.
I remember a white one.
Remember that? From there, they would meet at Bernie's Big Wheel or Paley's Big Wheel, and then everybody went to the hot shops.
Yeah.
But that was all the Titans, because that's who you knew. That's who you hung out with.
You know what? We continue to do that.
Yeah.
69.
Is that right?
where we hung out.
Yeah.
That's where you would all meet, and you would migrate from there to maybe hot shops, and then you would go to another place like Litchfield's over by Central Shopping Plaza.
Oh.
Then, that's right. Then what we
Down
would
at the post office.
then what we would do is, if we were in the mood for it, it was pretty rare. Sometimes we'd go up to Fort Lauderdale, and they didn't have I-95 going up that far to the War Memorial Auditorium, because they would have a dance there. And then you'd go around the corner to Jerry's Drive-In, which these are all gone now. And they had no inspection in Fort Lauderdale, auto inspection. And so the fast cars were there. So then they would go out a bit west there and have the midnight drags on that with it. And you try to beat the faster Fort Lauderdale cars.
Wasn't there another place they would do that called Masters Field?
Well,
That
that was the regular drag race, which
Yeah.
was just north of Dade North.
Okay.
That was 130.
Amelia Earhart Airfield became Masters.
Well,
Dade County Junior College then, which
South
is
Campus.
Yeah, that's
this
right.
is the North Campus I'm talking about.
off of 27th Avenue and 109th Street or something.
That's where they used to have drag races. up
Yeah.
there. It was actually, might have been at one time part of Dade North Campus from the basketball team out there.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, did you guys stay in Miami?
Pretty much.
Say that again?
69ers
You
would
stay in
pretty
Miami?
much.
You still live in Miami?
No, I've moved out about 15 years ago. I moved to Providence, Rhode Island,
Providence.
and now I live in New Jersey. Yeah, but I was there to see Miami, evolve into
Yeah.
what it is
Oh,
now.
yeah.
It was a different
Evolved.
town. When you guys were there, when I was there,
Paradise.
it was like a little hick town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
You got some memories though, but it was fantastic though. It was a
Yeah.
great experience, especially at going to Miami High. There was such tradition and pride
Yeah.
to have attended there.
Big time.
And we were in Titans. We were, you know, like you guys had. You had some guys that were more scholarly and athletic, and then you had guys that were just there for the
Good
beer.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't drink.
No, I find that hard to believe now.
And it still was a small town, and a lot of people went to Miami High. I can remember your brother and myself in that little red 19-foot boat. We would come buzzing the cops out in Third Bridge off of Credit Park and stuff, doing all. He'd be writing a ticket. We'd come by on skis, and then he'd come and he'd chase us down. We never got in trouble on it with it. I remember we passed a cop. We passed a highway patrolman doing 110 miles an hour. Once he didn't give us a ticket. Again, you know, the pledge class, I guess I got to say, Roy Johnson, all that. Now you couldn't do anything like that.
I remember, here's a story. We tried hunting. We'd go out to Jones Logging Road out there west of, well, I guess it's in Monroe County or west of Bay County. That Monroe group.
Good
Right.
south.
That's like out
Off the
on
trail.
on
Okay.
the trail, like
Off the
where
trail.
Monroe Station was.
Okay, so we're out there, and there's two stories. The first story is we're all big game hunters, and we all got our own homemade or our own guns. We fired them. We're driving along, and look, a deer. It's about maybe 75 yards off on the right. We get out, and there's two cars. We shoot maybe 300 rounds at this. It turned out to be a stump that looked like a deer. I don't think anybody ever hit the stump, but we shot 300 rounds. On the way home, Paul Slocha was driving Bill Smith's 54 Chevy or 50, what was it?
52, 51, 52.
Well, this is another one.
Okay.
He had several.
Yeah.
Because the guy that built them rebuilt them from a constitution of parts. So Paul's driving. We're all beat because he stayed out there overnight. It was like the first day of hunting season. Paul falls asleep while he's driving. And we're on the trail where it happens to be that wide, they have the wide section before the canal. And he falls asleep and he goes right across the other lane. Didn't hit any car, but the only car coming happened to be a highway patrol guy. So he pulls us over and he sees that we're all just a bunch of kids and fell asleep and he makes sure you're awake and so was pretty high, took down all the information and then he let us go. But then after running all the information, the car is from 32 different parts, none of them with the same owner. So he pulled us over about 30 miles closer to Miami again, and they towed the car away and we had to get home from there. And at this particular time, I had drank swamp water because I was so thirsty somewhere earlier and I was sick. Ended up going to the hospital.
Making an hour-long documentary out of this? Or
Oh, he's
what?
going to have to
Trying
edit
to-
it. He's going to do lots of editing. We're just telling stories.
He's going to want a blood sample. He's going to run your DNA. And it's going to run it through, you know, your path. And if you're lying, he's got a team of prosecutors.
It's
They're come
all,
after
what
you.
usually happens is people just start laughing so much.
What should I do?
That was a good story.
That reminded me on the highway patrol when we passed them going 100, literally 110
Yeah.
miles. We pulled us over on that, and he looked. In those days, you could pay if you had a ticket. You could pay the highway patrolman. He had, as I remember, he had a money box in there, legal. He wasn't taking a bribe. It was the real way. And he looked over and says, "You guys don't have any money." And we said, "Well, no, we've been siphoning gas so we could get home from cars." And you just get out of here. But never to, you know, Miami was a small town.
Yeah,
It was
and
fun.
then let you go on
Yeah.
some things if there were.
Yeah.
Well, we used to camp out on Twin Island off the Deering Estate, and we used to go 4 or 5 boats. Guy from Edison had a boat, guy from Southwest, and we'd get all the gas cans, 6-gallon gas cans, and we'd go tie up at Mercy Hospital and hit their parking lot with siphon hoses of gas.
Twin Islands, I think the trees burned down, you know, that's submerged now.
They re-dredged or did something. They
Yeah,
did
sure.
away with them. Or
They
Yeah.
went under. My
Yeah.
parents formed a coalition to try and get the county and the city involved with the state to pump it out some more, pump the channel out some more.
To save the island.
Because we used to go there, you
Oh
know.
yeah, that was, you could wade out there, you know, you swim right from
Yeah.
From the first bridge.
the first bridge, yeah.
Yeah.
So, getting back to, let's say the early Titans, did you guys ever rumble with other clubs, or were there some
I think
fights?
there was
or?
talk about it, but I don't think we ever did. Yeah, let's get it.
This wasn't like West Side Story, right? It was never like that, huh?
We went to Bird Road Bowl and
Yeah.
ended up bowling. Or something.
You guys were more civilized.
Well, other clubs around town would, you know, they'd copy our honk,
Okay.
something like that. So you had to put a stop to that. I remember Jack Smith,
Oh.
Henry Hurtado, and we just go up to the door and, hey, you're the president, right? So you have an opportunity to make it right here. Tell your guys to stop using our honk.
That
Get
was-
your own.
We got
That was what-
diplomatic. We became a little more diplomatic.
The honk was, as I remember, it was 3-2-1,
Probably.
right?
Yeah, Saxons was 3-3-1.
3-3-1. Titans was 3-2-1. That's cool. Now, did you guys, you know, collaborate with Saxons? Did you ever guys party with them?
We
Or-
were friends.
friends.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
friendly to each
I
other.
don't think we ever had any function together other than, I don't even remember if we played football against.
You guys didn't play each
Oh,
other?
yeah, we did.
You did?
Did play
You got-
football? Okay.
I always
Yeah.
remember the Saxon guys being the big athletes, the football
Yeah,
team
they
and
were-
stuff.
They were,
Yeah, they were all bigger
they
guys
were to
and
beat the
stuff.
shit out of us if they wanted to.
Yeah, that's what I
But
always,
we were
but
mostly
they never
friends.
did. I mean, they never had a disagreement with
There was peaceful
anybody.
coexistence.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I think there was respect because we were the two outlaw clubs
Yeah.
on it.
The biggest Saxon was my barber for about 10 years, Tom Perkins.
Yeah.
Big Daddy.
And the one that did the famous moon the last day of
Yeah,
school.
South Beach.
South Bay, what?
Yeah.
What? Tell me this. What happened?
He went to jail, and they had a picture of him in the Herald.
He flashed a moon?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And where, on South Beach? In front of what, a cop or something?
I don't know what.
You don't know the story, huh?
Yeah, the cops, he got caught, they caught him mooning.
What, out of the back of his car?
Side. He was a 300-pound guy.
Yeah.
It's a big moon.
He didn't moon through the window.
It was a major moon.
It was-
Yeah, it wasn't just a.
That's-
It was a full moon.
It
For
was a
sure.
full, okay, let's call it a full moon.
I had a fraternity brother up in Florida who, he mooned out the window. He was a law student. He mooned out the window and happened to be a judge,
Oh,
local judge. So naturally the judge calls the cops. They pick Mike up. He's in his second year of law school. He goes before the judge and we're all there supporting him. And the judge says, well, mister, what do you think in retrospect, now looking back on this situation, would you have done differently? And he says, well, I'd have used a little more foresight and a little less hindsight. He broke the place up.
Good. Well, that.
You know, Miami High was a great, just overall was a great school with a lot of successful people coming out of that.
Oh,
On
yeah.
it, yeah.
And I tell you what, the thing that makes me really feel good of late is seeing how they restored the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we had drop ceilings and broken ceiling tiles and all that, and
No AC.
no AC, and then later on, I saw that they blocked it.
they air conditioned it, that's what they
Yeah,
did.
blocked everything.
When you guys went there, it wasn't air conditioned.
No heat either.
And Jim Goodman's son-in-law was the project manager on that restoration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big job.
I think Don Waugh is, well, he was an electrician, but somebody else was on it. They did some really good.
His
I
son was
remember
an
Don,
architect.
yeah.
You know, the coral rock looking banisters,
Yeah.
they cut them in half lengthways opened them up, cut a groove in them because they weren't the code. Be strong, and they put steel in it and put in some kind of fiberglass putty and closed them back up and sealed them together. And then because of code, people are taller than they were in 1922 or 24, whatever it was. So they're on little blocks now, but it looks what they did. I mean, just little details.
Yeah.
You see the steel struts in the library. The roof rafters
Yeah.
are steel with these ornate corner bracing, like big pieces of steel that like this, and it's just really. And it shows the whole window, right? Because the drop ceiling cut off half their big 20-foot high windows, or however tall they are. But
My parents graduated from there in '37.
and it probably looked more like it does now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Don Waugh's mom was there. Well, they were buddies.
Yep.
Don was.
W-A-U-G-H. He was another type.
He was a type.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
he
used
was
to
a
hang.
type.
Yeah, he is. You know, there was always like groups that hung out together. If you like cars, which
Yeah.
I always did, it was the guys that had the cars. That's the only reason I remember Smith and the different cars that
Sure.
people had.
So
Yeah.
now the
Dennis,
You had a '58 Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that car.
Dennis Selly had his father had that gold, did a 53.
Yeah.
now when I was in Titans, we had Sweethearts. Did you guys have
That's where my
Sweethearts?
pen went.
Oh,
Valerie Dunn.
yeah. You had Sweethearts as well, huh? You,
Yeah, we
Valerie
had.
Dunn. I remember that name.
yeah, you
Yeah,
voted
right.
him
We
in.
haven't seen her at any reunions at all ever. Nobody's heard from Valerie.
I
Dunn.
sat next to her in a biology class in Florida. She was a freshman, I was a sophomore. And that's the last time I saw her.
Yeah.
I don't want to have anything to do with you, and that was the end of that.
That's usually how it happens. Yeah, that's great.
But we had a net in the '64. We had a net flink,
Oh yeah.
and
I saw her at the reunion.
yeah,
She looked just like she always
she's
did.
still
They don't
short,
age.
she did.
Yeah.
And a girl,
Not Michelle.
Michelle Doolin was, but Vicky Hoover.
I remember that name.
Okay, she married the fire chief from my department, and they live up in just north of Gainesville, Springs. And I don't know whatever happened to Tia King. She was.
I saw her. Hallwood came down. They did a thing at the Rusty Pelicans in 2003.
A reunion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a good reunion.
Yeah, and that's the last time I saw Tia.
All right. Cool.
I went to the 50th reunion, so that would have been 2014, and all the popular kids. So in that that group, they looked exactly alike. They did none of them aged. They looked, I look a little older. You too.
Yeah.
They looked exactly the same, and they were still the popular because they put it on. If it wasn't for them, that was it. And every time I meet somebody from Miami High, or I say, well, you're from Miami? I said, yeah, I went to Miami High. And somebody else did, it's like a great respect. Even if they went to Coral Gables or something, oh, you went to Miami High. A lot of respect for that. Still today for that school, because I bump into the people.
In the year Cavalier.
Yeah, in the year Cavalier, that was right. Yeah. That was,
Well, when you guys started Titans Up, did you have any sense or any idea how long
So this is a
this
2-hour
that
documentary.
would
He's going to do lots of
well,
it.
that was the
Lots of
intention.
We're getting paid by the hour.
Did you have any idea how long this would go, or that didn't matter? Didn't occur to you?
No.
You didn't know what the lifespan was.
GDS
gonna
guy to see when it comes on
It went to
front
Carl
line.
Park.
Well, it went on for about 10 years actually for Titans. Maybe it was longer for Saxons, but
Really?
it had about Titans must have had about a 10-year run, because after '72 it faded. It cultural and social changes
Yeah.
dictated that.
Yeah.
But nobody wanted to go through Hell Night, and they call that hazing now in these fraternities. But that's
Yeah.
people just they didn't.
Politically correct.
Yeah.
That's not our mantra.
Yeah.
I don't
Well, I think initially we didn't like the idea of hazing, or some people didn't like it. Some people,
More mental hazing, like when
Yeah.
you get to college, 99% of it is mental hazing. Memorization.
I don't remember any hazing or any, maybe we went out to Key Biscayne, out to the lighthouse
Yeah.
with a bunch, but I don't remember anything. I never remember, I know I never used that paddle.
They
that I
never,
have.
they never like
Never, that
threw
I
eggs
remember.
at you and humiliated you.
Is there
Never.
statute of limitations
Yeah.
on hazing? We're getting
Yeah, I don't remember. I do remember being out with a bunch of guys on Key Biscayne, which had nothing to do with Titans. It was just the guys that hung around, your brother, and so on. It was I had a '54 Chrysler, and we were out there on Halloween, and they egged us on it. All the people who lived in Key Biscayne didn't like us, or coming out there, and they caught us trying to get back out. I guess we were doing something wrong, and that car. And my old man got mad as heck when he saw the eggs. It was his car. He didn't like that at all.
So you guys kind of kept a low profile. I mean, when would you wear your pins and your T-shirts? And,
Whenever we
Meetings.
felt like it.
but not during school though.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
Oh,
Yeah,
you would-
in school, I was in Key Club too, so that was a quick change.
Yeah.
You know, if you thought there was gonna be a problem.
Then
I mean,
you-
it's Key Club, it's not. That's the way
I was always screwing around. They never looked at the pin. They were usually got my behavior. But
There were meetings. We used to go to different houses for meetings.
yeah,
for type
different
of
houses.
meetings.
Most of them that I seem to remember are in Bill Halls, but
Mhm.
I'm sure we had them someplace
Yeah.
else.
You know what my experience was once you joined a club like Titans, that it almost elevated you in school. When you went down the hall, people knew who you were. You were kind of singled out, and in some ways not feared so much, but you had some sort of clout, or you had some sort of
Prestige.
respect or
Yeah.
prestige, and you didn't, not that you were necessarily a football player or something, but people kind of gave you the benefit of the doubt, and which
And
kind
you're
of made
part
you
of an
feel
exclusive club, because
Yeah,
you couldn't just
you-
say, I want to be a Titan. Somebody had to invite you
Yeah,
to be it. Yeah,
and you felt good about it, and I think people just kind of showed some respect.
yeah, you couldn't
for
be
that.
a jerk or some idiot and become a member of any of them.
Right. You had brothers. You
Yeah.
had, if there was some personal issues, you had support.
Our
That's right.
first year, we even Karen Kirky was one of our sweethearts.
Right.
We picked some. I think it was really kind of a political backing. We picked some really smart, pretty girls to be our sweethearts, and they accepted it. But I don't think we
Yeah.
ever had anybody. But we got one wild and crazy Tia or something, or whatever.
Yeah.
So we had an assortment. It wasn't so because we didn't have any rules to follow. It was
Yeah, she
kinda-
married my roommate in college.
Who?
Karen Carkey.
Oh, really?
Jim Mullen, who's from Valdosta, Georgia.
Okay.
He's a country boy, but smart as a whip.
And he passed away, right?
I'm going to
No,
the
he's
bridal
still
party.
alive.
They're having a lot more fun.
Oh, well,
Sorry to bore you.
You know what?
Yeah.
Bridal
We're
party.
coming, we're coming.
So tight.
I
Yeah.
was just, there was, well, you might, because you were different, was that, it was a girl that I always had a crush on, and she never seems to show up on that Classmates or any of that, named Carolyn Floyd. And she wanted to be a nurse, and I always had the biggest crush for 2 years on her, and I was afraid to ask her out with it. And that's only, of all the people, that's the one girl I'd like to know what happened to her on that. Yeah, I love everybody else, but that was the one. And then I found out just before graduating, some of the other girls that you all are still here, maybe they're downstairs, said, "Oh, she always liked you. Why didn't you ask her out?" I was too embarrassed. All right.
Now you tell me.
I might be celebrating the 50th year anniversary or something if I'd known that.
My sweetheart from Citrus Grove transferred after her sophomore year at Miami High to North Miami.
Arlena Niemeyer
Arlene Niemeyer.
Ah,
became an attorney.
She married a little short attorney too.
oh, gee.
Yeah, I always went with her for a while.
You know what's good on going to Miami High, and even sometimes the Titans will pump in there, is sometimes, I don't know if it's the mayor, but it'd be a city councilman, somebody there, and you're talking with them and say, I went to Miami High on that. Well, so did I, or so did my sister, or somebody like that. And all of a sudden, you've now got a rapport with that person. And it would be in the case of an attorney if you, but well, yeah, you went there, so did I on it.
This might be to your advantage.
Yeah.
I don't like attorneys.
Well, I think we got a little general idea of the origins of Titans.
Yeah.
And it's only 5:30, so we're doing good.
You guys did good. I mean, I can take this now and
I don't think we really.
There's a lot of editing to do.
Yeah.
We didn't
Yeah,
think
that was
too
it.
much about the long-term effect, although we did get our own stationery after a while. We had a motto: "Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm," which nobody picked up on. It was on the bottom of the sticker.
Really?
Yeah.
Like everything else at that age, we weren't looking long-term, we weren't looking to be doctors.
We were looking to get the keg of beer next
Yeah.
month.
in other words, it didn't need a future. It was just something you wanted to do at the time. You didn't know how long it would last.
I was just surprised.
Well, listen, I'll tell
Maybe at
you.
the end of the year, some of us felt like, well, we had a good time. I sure hope it goes on.
When I got in '68, it was very organized and it was very prestigious. If you could get in, it was a feather in your cap to be in the club.
Well, some guys did really, after my president, Bill Smith, kind of really did a good organizing also. I don't know what happened.
Am I remembering right? I remember Shirley's because it's on the blimp
Yeah.
thing there. To get in, for lunch and stuff like that, or right after, because you got out at 2:15 and 3:15. If you were tight, you could you could get in the place. Sometimes they didn't like you there, and you had to go across the street or somewhere. It gave you a little bit of a prestige that you could go in and hang with the people that were in there with it, because you were kind of one of them on it. If I
Where's
remember
this
right.
at Shirley's?
Shirley's.
Yeah, I was the same way when we were there. If
Yeah.
you weren't in a club, basically you didn't go.
Yeah, that was
You know?
it. Yeah, sure.
You
that
stayed
was,
away, and you
Yeah.
knew it. Before I was in Titans,
Yeah.
I never went to Shirley's. I said, I can't go in there.
Good. I'm hoping I'm remembering right.
No.
Yeah, not dreaming it up. But
Yeah,
that's
you ended
true.
up going to Campus Corner. There was
Yeah.
another place over there.
On there was a
Other
place
side.
on the opposite side of the parking lot.
Exactly.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to steal Brad's Chevy and go to McDonald's on Spence Street.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You'd steal what at lunchtime? You'd steal his car.
Yeah, because you could put a pocket knife in the ignition and turn it.
Oh, that
Yeah.
is too funny.
I once was late to school, pulled in, I parked in the faculty parking lot. A cop runs out, or some guard or somebody runs out, and I said, "What do you mean? It says facility." And he started laughing so hard.
There were some great coaches then in that, but they were tough guys. I want to hit you so bad, Slaughter, I can taste it. As he held you up, I forget. They were all famous
Was
guys.
Bobby Carlton there?
Carlton was
Oh,
the
yeah.
head guy, but that wasn't. He was the mean guy, but he never.